I'm very honoured to take up the gracious invitation to share a few short words with you on the occasion of India Day 2020. This has become an important date in the Irish calendar, and it serves to highlight annually, in an official and an enjoyable manner, the strong and enduring bonds of friendship between Ireland and India. Since first being elected Count Corla in 2016, I have been pleased to make my own small contribution to developing and strengthening the links between our two proud nations. I commend the work of the India Ireland Council for its energetic and enthusiastic work promoting closer links between our two countries. I also record my appreciation of His Excellency the Ambassador and all his team in the Indian Embassy in promoting practical cooperation. India Day is an opportunity to acknowledge the many people who wish to see even closer and more fruitful cooperation between Ireland and India. I can assure you that India has many, many friends here in the Irish Parliament. We too wish to see more cooperation between us, particularly at parliamentary level. This can only benefit us both. Our two nations are separated by many thousands of miles, but it has long been acknowledged that India and Ireland have developed a particularly close and warm friendship over many years. Despite the disparity in size and population between us, and God knows they're enormous, we have spent many productive years and decades closely cooperating in many practical areas. We are honoured that many Indian men and women and their families have opted to make Ireland their home, some temporarily, but some permanently. They have made an enormous contribution to so many different aspects of Ireland's life today, our economy, and our well being. On this India Day, I again pay tribute to all those who have made Ireland a much better place by their own valuable contributions. And as we find ourselves living in these difficult times and challenging times, we need all the meaningful and expert contributions possible. COVID 19 poses an existential threat to our lives, our economies, and future well being. As I have remarked elsewhere, this health crisis shows that we are stronger when we commit to working together. This virus respects no border. It can only be defeated by the global community coming together as one force for good. Future generations will judge us on how we succeed in the weeks and in the months ahead. And the history books recording 2020 will hopefully show nations coming together to serve all our people. As Count Corla of Dáil Éireann, I know that the members of the Houses of the Oireachtas have an important contribution to make in this regard. We must lead by example in educating, reassuring those who find themselves suffering in these dark times. We parliamentarians must lead by example, sharing expert scientific knowledge and best health practices. Our collective efforts at the present moment are invested in ridding our lands of the scourge of COVID 19. The skills, knowledge, and cooperation we show in this demanding struggle will hopefully allow us to prevail sooner rather than later. Then there will be other issues to address. Now, more than ever, countries, their parliaments, and their people must work together. In future, happier days, I hope that we will be able to harness the current energy, the knowledge, and international cooperation for future good as we plan the recovery of our crippled economies and damaged societies. These are issues which I know will be touched upon and debated, along with many others, during India Day event. Once again, I offer my congratulations and thanks to all those involved in organising India Day 2020. As Count Corla, I wish to assure you that my door remains open to all our Indian friends seeking closer bilateral links between our two countries. I am particularly anxious to see a strengthening of parliamentary links between Dublin and New York. New Delhi. And as I start my second term of office as Ceann Comhairle, I will continue to work with His Excellency the Ambassador in planning closer cooperation between Leinster House and the Loch Sabha. Perhaps we can even aspire, after these troubled days, that a bilateral visit from India or Ireland can take place once the dark clouds have lifted. That is my earnest hope, and one for which I will continue to strive. In the meantime, I offer my warmest good wishes to all our Indian friends on the occasion of India Day. Stay safe, stay well, and as we look forward to happier days, let us also look forward to even closer cooperation between our two nations. Thank you. Guramaghif.
On the occasion of India Day 2020, I offer my felicitations to Ireland India Council, organizers of this important cultural event, which has become a much cherished annual feature in the diary of the Indian Irish community. I am pleased to note the multifaceted program organized this year using virtual platforms as the new normal for doing business in the challenging time of COVID. The events represent the diversity of the expanding partnership between India and Ireland in all fields. Hopefully, the virtual discussions will be sustained through effective implementation of the emerging proposals in the important fields of healthcare, climate change, trade, and culture. India and Ireland share a common destiny, rooted in our historical freedom struggle movements fostered towards democracy, rule of law, and social reforms. This has laid the foundation of a very strong political relationship, which over the years has been nurtured to encompass economic, educational, cultural, as well as science and technology dimensions. Today, we have a substantive partnership fashioned by shared values and ideas, which we are endeavoring to sustain over the long term through out of the box mechanisms. Our robust relationship has also helped in dealing with the unprecedented COVID crisis, turning challenges into opportunities. Our Prime Minister Narendra Modi had a telecon with the former Irish Taoiseach Leo Varadkar on 22nd April to exchange experiences on pandemic management, as well as to explore future collaboration in the pharmaceuticals, medical, and other fields. Taoiseach Varadkar specifically expressed appreciation for the tremendous role played by Indian nurses and doctors in frontline positions throughout Ireland. The Indian government also facilitated the export of around 1,700 MTs of paracetamol to Ireland. The generous pandemic unemployment payments offered by the Irish governments to those who had lost jobs, wage subsidies for employers, and low interest credits for micro businesses, I'm happy to say, were also availed by Indian companies, professionals, and students. Local Irish organizers raised substantial amount of money for Indian PM Cares Fund, which is very encouraging. The new frontiers of economic collaboration between our two countries will encompass cutting-edge digital technologies such as fintech, cybersecurity, AI, IoT, advanced BPOs, security solutions, RFID tags, blockchain technologies, and VR applications. In the context of work from home, I'm happy to state that the globally renowned Indian company TCS has offered to Irish government test run of software solutions for schools to carry out remote lectures and assessments. Joint medical research also holds considerable potential in areas of health sanitation and biomedicine. We have learned that Panakia Biotech has been successfully An Indian innovation-led biotechnology group will be collaborating with Rifana, USA, for the development of the COVID vaccine through a joint venture company to be based in Ireland, which is very encouraging. As regards trade, there is potential for increasing bilateral trade from Euro 5.4 billion, around 1.2 billion in goods, and around 4.2 billion in services in identified sectors of agriculture, pharma, chemicals, and energy. We strongly believe that the Irish industry can contribute to India's Atmanirbhar, which is self-reliant, flagship programs mainly through technology transfer in infrastructure, renewable energy, and digital technologies. In his inaugural address to the India Global Week, I may remind that Prime Minister Modi particularly invited foreign entrepreneurs to invest in agriculture, defense, and space. Moreover, through pharmaceutical sectoral convergence, both countries can integrate better health infrastructure in their manufacturing and supply chains. This will provide an opportunity to diversify our supply chains and position India as a strong competitor to other countries. At the same time, Indian industry recognizes Ireland's strengths in providing strategic business linkages with UK, EU, and transatlantic US. The pandemic has also been an opportunity to promote traditional Indian lifestyle systems and immunity boosting products like Indian herbs and spices. We are seriously pursuing proposals for institution of yoga and Ayurveda chairs in major universities such as Trinity, UCD, and DCU. Now let me come to post-Brexit collaboration. In this context, it is our assessment that Ireland can emerge as a strong partner on account of its geostrategic advantages, which are, it is English speaking, as common law system, highly skilled workforce, low corporate tax, and transatlantic US link. Indian high-tech companies like TCS, Infosys, Wipro, and HCL are already expanding operations in Ireland. The country can also play a role in leveraging India's business interests in the EU, including for conclusion of the very important broad-based trade and investment agreement, which is important for both EU and India. At the multilateral level, both India and Ireland have been elected as non-permanent UNSC members for 2021-22, and there will be opportunities to work on shared priorities of multilateralism, climate change, peacekeeping, rule-based international order in the post-COVID era, peace and security. These are values and ideas that both India and Ireland hold dear. In our expanding multifaceted relationship, the large Indian community in Ireland can play a very important role. They are regarded as highly skilled, disciplined, integrated with Irish society, and contributing to socio-economic development of Ireland. During the pandemic, the community has shown exceptional solidarity, civic responsibility, and leadership in tackling the challenges. With their support, the embassy assisted several hundred citizens to travel to India through direct repatriation flights from Dublin and various hub destinations in Europe. In the context of COVID, they can assist us in identifying trade, investment, and R&D opportunities. For example, there is an India-Ireland business tie-up for manufacture of PPEs in County Laois. An Indian-Irish couple has also launched Maharani Gin recently using some Indian vitalizing ingredients in County Cork. And again, an Indian scientist at National University of Galway has developed a decontaminant anti-bioagent AB swipe, which is a highly innovative technology for non-toxic removal of pathogens from surfaces. This has been done in collaboration with the Irish Defence Forces, which can be useful for India as well. The embassy values its collaboration with the Ireland-India Council towards further strengthening of the bilateral relationship in pursuance of our shared destiny. I wish the Ireland-India Council all success in their future ventures. May the India-Ireland legacy grow from strength to strength. Jai Hind.
On behalf of the Minister of State for the Office of Public Works to celebrate India Day. So whether you're here in person or logging in online, you're extremely welcome. Minister O'Donovan was on earlier to me today. Unfortunately, he can't attend the event, but he sent his apologies and has wished participants every success on the day and in their ongoing work, which is of tremendous value both to Ireland and, of course, to India itself. So I understand this is the 6th time India Day has been hosted in Farmley, with over 40,000 people attending in the first 5 years of it. So I do hope that this time next year we can look forward to growing that number again when it comes to hosting India Day, hopefully again in Farmley, but in person and in a more physical manner. So I think the physical location of these events has become less important in recent months, with the greater use of video conferencing, and there's tremendous work happening today in terms of seems to be a full family attached to Prashant, making all the arrangements here today in the background. So compliments to both his family and all the helpers that are here today. The facilities made available by the staff here is just making a tiny contribution towards the success of the event. We are privileged within the Office of Public Works to have many wonderful properties at our disposal right across the country, many of which will be on display in the upcoming week. This is the start of Heritage Week in Ireland, where all facilities of the heritage nature are made available and many events are organised, different to other years, but I would encourage all to try and attend where they're taking a staycation in Ireland and make an effort to go and see some of the wonderful OPW properties that are made available to them. In addition, we're also more privileged than anyone in terms of the wonderful staff who present the properties, both here in Farmley and across the entire state portfolio. So I'd particularly like to thank Georgina and her staff here today for making the necessary arrangement behind the scenes for today's events, which seem to be going quite swimmingly. Okay, it is clear that in these times it is even more important than ever that cross-border relationships are nurtured and developed. I understand there's been regular communication between India and Ireland, and I saw some quoted in today's brochure, at many levels and through many different channels. And I think the collaboration will continue to play an important role in how we deal with and overcome this pandemic, not just with India, but with many different cross-border relationships that have been developed in recent weeks. So I know Prashant has had to reduce or cut people short there in the last couple of minutes. So I see there's a very busy, wide-ranging and interesting agenda. I know Duncan was speaking before. A lot of people from the Irish side will be familiar with Duncan's contribution in recent years. So for that agenda, I congratulate the organisers, and rather than using up any more of that valuable time, I just reiterate the Céad Míle Fáilte to OPW Farmley and wish the very best to presenters and participants today. So gur míle mágaibh agus bígí sa bháilte. Gur mágaibh.
Minister Pian, you please go first.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Chairperson Shukla, distinguished guests, thank you very much for your kind invitation to address you all here today on this very special occasion as we seek to further improve the collaboration between Ireland, India and the EU. I'm personally delighted to be a part of an event which will allow communities, professionals and businesses from Ireland, India and the EU to share their knowledge and network in anticipation of better collaborations and efforts to combat the global problems we all face together. The special and developing Ireland-India connection is something I am very aware of in my capacity as a public representative, and I've met with your Ambassador Sandeep Kumar on many occasions in the past, and I regularly support events which are organised by the Sligo Indian Association in my own area, and I was delighted to attend an India event yesterday in Sligo. The colour and vibrancy and passion on display at these events always captivates me, and our similar histories of achieving independence is something which I believe strongly unites us. The theme for this year's India celebration is a 2020 vision for Ireland, India, EU cooperation in post-COVID Brexit world. This is a very topical selection, as there can be no disputing just how difficult this global pandemic has been, or about the challenges which are about to come. This is why I agree with you, Chairman, when you said in your invite letter, today more than ever, we need the strategies and policies to promote well-being to defeat the challenges present to human health. In this regard, I welcome the opportunity to outline to you all how Ireland is rising to the challenges we're having to deal with in the face of the current pandemic crisis. Prevention is a cornerstone of effective healthcare, and in 2013 we launched our national framework for action to improve health and well-being in Ireland over the coming generation, Healthy Ireland. At the core of Healthy Ireland is the basic principle that in order to reduce the rates of chronic diseases, we need to reduce the major risk factors for non-communicable diseases: smoking, excessive alcohol consumption, obesity and inactivity. Healthy Ireland seeks to tackle these risk factors, but also to address the wider social and environmental factors that impact on health and well-being. For example, housing, education, transport and the built environment. The framework aims to shift the focus to prevention, seeks to reduce health inequalities and emphasise the need to empower people and communities to better look after their own health and well-being. Another fundamental principle underlying Healthy Ireland is that health is everyone's responsibility. And under the framework, we have worked to build relationships and strengthen partnerships with other government departments, local authorities, the education and research sectors, as long as the wider business, voluntary and community sectors. Since the framework was launched in 2013, we also have a large suite of national policies and strategies to address the most challenging areas of health behaviours. These include the National Obesity Strategy and Action Plan, the National Physical Activity Plan, Tobacco-Free Ireland, and the National Sexual Health Strategy. Good progress has been made in implementation of all these strategies, and this will continue. In addition, through a consultative process involving a range of government departments and key stakeholders organisations, we have developed a Healthy Ireland outcome framework, which will monitor and drive the achievements of our public health targets. The range of indicators select include national and well-recognised international indicators set to create an overall picture of health and well-being in Ireland. And one of our key instruments here is Healthy Ireland Survey, which is carried out annually. This is an annual survey of over 7,500 households, which gather data on health behaviours such as smoking, alcohol, diet and nutrition, physical activity and many other health issues. The onset of COVID-19 pandemic has of course had a devastating effect on all our lives. Like every country in the world, we've had to adjust our behaviours to make sacrifices in order to protect ourselves, our families, and communities. However, one of the most important factors in the fight against COVID-19 is the provision of up-to-date and timely information to the public. And long before COVID-19 here in Ireland, we've been engaged in a very effective national communications campaign to help and encourage people to improve their diet, the level of physical activity, and their mental well-being. This work has been even more essential with the arrival of COVID-19. We responded by launching a new campaign called In This Together, which provided advice and information how to stay fit, healthy and active at home. Earlier I spoke of the importance of partnership and cooperation between the different sectors of Irish society in promoting health behaviours. This is also true of the international stage. Ireland has for many decades now benefited from our membership of the European Union, and I know that India has also enjoyed a long partnership with the EU and is closely working with the EU on important issues such as social and human development, ICT, energy, water, climate change, urban development, and resource efficiency. It is precisely this kind of partnership, cooperation, and collaboration which will help us all in Ireland, India, and throughout the globe to face and overcome the challenges we face. And I've no doubt that today's event will provide great opportunity for exchanges of information and knowledge between our two countries. I wish you well with your event, and I want to thank you once again for the kind invitation.
Thank you so much, Minister Feehan. We are delighted to have your support and particularly continued support. And I remember you were one of the members in Ireland-India Parliamentary Friendship Group. And we had very good exchanges of ideas and everything in the past. And I hope you may not be in position to join that group in future, being a minister, but I hope you will continue your support to that group, and new group will soon be open. With these words, now I want to invite Dr. Singh, and then the Camcorla. He sent a very beautiful message because I think he's on holidays and he is facing some connectivity issues. And the Indian ambassador and representative of OPW will also talk. But I think Dr. Singh is in 90 years of age, and with his seniority and everything, I really admire, and maybe Dr. Singh may not remember this. In 97, 96, I was in Apollo Hospital. I had some serious problem, and Dr. Singh was attending, same neurosurgeon, physician, and I have seen his humanity and his respect for the rules, that he was sitting outside as a common person. He belongs to a Maharaja family. He had a wonderful place and respect in Indian society. So his conduct of business, and he is one of the, if I can say, a treasure of wisdom. So I'm looking forward today his wisdom, what he can give to Ireland-India Council, to Ireland and to India. And as he said that Dr. Seshadri Chari, he's a wonderful orator on foreign policies. I admire sometimes when I was reading him and listening to him. So he will go after Dr. Singh. And then we will have Camcorla and Indian ambassador. I hope I'm not reaching the call, but I believe these are the events where we have some flexibility. And I want to, the Ireland is very flexible country. So where protocol doesn't matter, but with these, events, so I want to continue with this. Dr. Singh, please.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction. Minister Frank Sheehan, my good friend Seshadri Chari, present surprise seeing you in Ireland. Distinguished panelists and speakers in this event. Prashant Shukla, President and members of the Ireland-India Council, residents of Dublin and whoever else is watching us in Ireland. We are very interested to hear the details of what you are doing to fight this terrible pandemic. I think more or less India is doing the same, except that we have a slightly larger population. We have 1.3 billion people. And that makes our task, I think, extremely difficult, but we are coping with it, as all of us are. It is a pleasure and a privilege, Prashant, to visit Ireland, although virtually, and address you on the occasion of India's 74th freedom anniversary. Both India and Ireland fought long and hard for our freedom against the same colonial power. Both of us produced great leaders and made great sacrifices. We were hit by famine, by repression, by atrocities. But nonetheless, we stuck to our guns and we finally achieved our independence. Our movement, of course, was led by most remarkable man, Mahatma Gandhi, who advocated non-violence and passive resistance. And he had a galaxy of great leaders around him, with Jawaharlal Nehru, Vallabhbhai Patel, Maulana Azad, and so on. So the freedom movement itself produced a great deal of energy and a great deal of talent. And we got our independence in 1947, and Ireland got it in 1949, if I'm not mistaken, just a couple of years later. Minister, you will be interested to know that the Irish freedom fighters and leaders had a direct influence on our freedom movement. One of our great leaders, he was a revolutionary, later became a great philosopher and a yogi, Sri Aurobindo, was in college in Cambridge in 1891 when your great leader Parnell died. He wrote several poems to pay homage to him. I just want to read out from one, which is entitled Jacket Glasnevich Cemetery. Patriots, behold your garden. This man found Erin, his mother, breathing, chastised, wound, naked to imputation, poor denied, while alien masters held her house of pride. And now behold her, terrible and fair, with the eternal ivy in her hair, armed with the clamorous thunder, how she stands. Erin, of course, was an ancient Irish goddess, and Sri Aurobindo looked upon India also as the goddess of the Bharat Mata. And it's interesting that he was greatly influenced by Parnell and others who were at that time fighting for freedom in India. We also owe a great debt of gratitude, Seshadri, as you know, to Ireland for the literatures that they have produced. I mean, in the 19th century, Jonathan Swift, for example, Gulliver's Travels, Oliver Goldsmith, R.V. Sheridan. And in the 20th century, of course, extraordinary explosion of talent. George Bernard Shaw, with his marvelous plays, William Butler Yeats, with his fabulous poems. I love the Yeats poems. You know, though I'm old with wandering through hollow hands and hilly hands, I will find out where she has gone and kiss her lips and take her hands and walk amid long dappled grass and pick till time and times are done the silver apples of the moon, the golden apples of the sun. I mean, I could recite Yeats for hours. I love him. Samuel Beckett, James Joyce, Dylan Thomas, the brilliant, I mean, these people are all outstanding people. And of course, the inimitable Oscar Wilde. So even names that I've mentioned are enough to show what a tremendous literary influence Ireland and Irish writers had upon. At that time, they all wrote in English. We really didn't know whether they were English or Irish. But later, as we grew up, we realized that they were not English people; they were Irish people, and therefore they had a very special, as it were, reverberation as far as we are concerned. And incidentally, the first school that I went to in my hometown of Srinagar was a presentation convent school run by an Irish mission. And I still remember Mother Peter, Monsignor Shanks, and all the nuns and all of them. So I also have a personal contact with Ireland. Well, both Ireland and India are now free democratic republics. Our relations are growing well, as I'm sure the ambassador will tell us. There are three dimensions, Minister, of relationships between countries. A sort of a Triveni, a confluence of three rivers in India is considered auspicious. This can be looked upon really as a confluence of relations. We have first the political relations, which means the government to government. There, I'm sure our ambassador and your ambassador here are doing an excellent job. And the government to government relations, political relations are good. The second is the political relations are the Ganga, Seshadri Chari. The second, the economic relations are the Jammu. Economic relations must grow. There are many aspects and many possibilities of growth because India is on the verge of a new upsurge of growth. And it would be very good if we get closer to the European Union, which I think is a remarkable structure. And the European Union is one miracle that has occurred in my own lifetime. I've in my own lifetime seen the mark disappear, the lira disappear, the franc disappear, and the euro coming in. In my own eyes, I've lived through that. And I find that that will be the most extraordinary development in the world. And Ireland also, as you say, Minister, has been part of. So the economic relations are the second. We must have more economic relations. Now the third, the invisible Saraswati, it may not be visible on the surface, are people-to-people relations. That I think is probably the most important of this. Because if you have a direct relationship on the literary front or on the personal front, then you have a deeper impact. And that is where music and dance and literature and fashion design and culinary creation, these all play their role. And I'm very glad that Prashant Shukla has got a whole program of cultural events here. Because as I see it, that is the best thing that we can do, particularly when the COVID keeps us close in our houses. We should at least watch good dance and listen to good music and read good books. I'm sure Seshadri does all the time. In fact, had it not been for the pandemic, I might have even been in Ireland. Even though I am 90, by God's grace, by Lord Shiva's grace, I think I could get there. But of course, now it's impossible to move out of one's house. But this virtual meeting is good. I cherish it. I'm grateful to you for having invited me on the day, India Day. And I bring to you warm greetings on behalf of 1.3 billion Indians. That is more than double the population, combined population of Western Europe and North America. So when you say India, please remember that India is not only a country, it's a civilization. It has a history going back 5,000 years, of which we are proud, and it is moving into the future. So on behalf of the people of India, I send through you, Minister, and through you, Prashant, very warm greetings, and especially people of Indian origin who also included one Patinche until recently. So good wishes to all of you. God bless, keep well, and keep safe. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Dr. Singh. It was wonderful hearing these words directly from you. And we are really grateful that you addressed this. And although we were actually in process to invite you in Ireland in 2005, and that time it was not possible. I think your diary was full. So now we are going to welcome another minister, Minister of State in the Department of Finance. And I'm so sorry, Minister, that this, although the technology is seamless, but sometimes still it didn't work. So thank you so much for your attendance and for your participation. And can I brief you that we were here having your colleague, Minister Frank Feehan. He spoke before, and we have the Peace Pitama of Indian politics, and I can say Indian wisdom, Dr. Karan Singh. He just finished his talk, and I think you might be listening it through social media, but definitely it was an admiring address. And we have here Dr. Seshadri Chari. Seshadri Chari, he's a wonderful journalist. He's a wonderful foreign policy analyst. And whenever anyone read his articles or interviews, it is so soothing that it actually, what I can say, what sort of foreign policies or the relations between the country and the countries can conduct their business, that I always admire from his writings. Minister, before you, I hope you are not rushed. Can I invite Dr. Seshadri Chari, but with particularly one question? That question is, Ireland and India, they had wonderful cultural relations, historical, going back from Tagore to Mahatma Gandhi to Nehru, M. Dev-Levra, and wonderful literary people, even Dr. Singh mentioned Aurobindo. But after independence, this bond never converted in business. And current days, the cooperation. And we all sometimes we hear from the foreign policy point of view from Indian experts that Ireland may not fit in their foreign policy agenda. But I believe Ireland may be a small country, but it has much bigger punch on world politics. So
it's 13 hours.
So in current situation, although we are thankful that Prime Minister Modi made a visit after almost 60 years in 2015, and this was India Day was initiated prior to his visit. So how you see that we should develop this historical relations to convert them into business? Dr. Chari.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Prashant Shuklaji, and Honorable Minister Frank Feehan, Sean Fleming, and my Guru Dr. Karan Singh. You have really used you have put me in a very embarrassing situation by uh, saying such good words about me in front of my guru. I am really grateful to you. And he has already laid the ground rules for how we have to deal with one another. In fact, as you very rightly mentioned, almost 64 years after the first Prime Minister of India, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, visited Ireland in 1956. Uh, After that 1956 visit of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, it was Prime Minister Narendra Modi who visited Ireland in 2015. But between these two visits, both the countries have made enormous progress in economy, in the fields of science and technology, as well as people-to-people relationship. All the three components of engagement between two countries, which Dr. Karan Singh mentioned. So we have developed excellent relationship as far as science and technology is concerned, as far as business is concerned, and as far as people-to-people relationship is concerned. And we have actually cemented our relationship through culture and commerce, both. So that is the most important aspect that we should actually remember when we are celebrating the Independence Day today. In fact, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, even before his visit to Ireland and during his visit also in his speech, he laid emphasis on the need to improve trade relations between the two countries and also explore opportunities to cooperate on various aspects of all-round development. In fact, Ireland's economy, as you would know better because you are leading the endeavors to bring the two economies together and build a bridge between them. Ireland's economy actually provides a very huge opportunity for Indian investors to participate. In fact, if you quickly go through the list of wealthiest persons in Ireland, the first name is Shapurji Mistry, Pallonji Mistry, and of Shapurji Pallonji, whose headquarters is in Bombay. So it's now that he is Irish, but he was an Indian. And incidentally, we are also celebrating the 75th year of the making of Mughal-e-Azam, which his grandfather financed. So there are so many firsts in this particular year. So you can imagine the kind of exchange that has been taking place between Ireland and India. So it would be better to conclude that we are actually two economies separated only by geography, but we have come together and closely worked together on a number of areas. In fact, Ireland's prosperity and growth since 1990s has got great international appreciation. Not only international appreciation, like they used to call some of the Asian economies in the 90s when they developed, they used to be called the Asian tigers. So Ireland is now being increasingly referred to as Celtic tiger. So Ireland continues to provide great opportunities for investment, and also you have created an atmosphere uh, for doing good business, such as very low corporate tax rate and so many other friendly measures. I will not go into those details here, but you have done a number of such measures, which I think Government of India needs to learn and emulate as far as the economic and business model that you have created. Obviously, as Minister Frank Fay had mentioned, the present coronavirus pandemic has hit all of us. The entire world has come to a grinding halt. Production facilities are shut. Demand supply chains have snapped. Normal economic activities have stopped. International travel has been grounded. But in spite of all this, if you notice one thing, if you look at the Irish business and commercial model for the last almost 1 year and the Indian economy, we both are two economies which still speak of great resilience. We have extremely great resilient power. We are both very confident that we will not only overcome the present pandemic and the other related problems, but we will be leading the economy in our own spheres. As far as Indian economy is concerned, and as far as the Irish economy is concerned, we are very confident. I think I'm not a very proper person to say this, especially when Dr. Karan Singh is here. I think this confidence comes because of our civilizational upbringing, the civilizational background of Ireland and the civilizational background of India, that nothing can stop human evolution and human progress if they are rooted in a larger philosophical template. This is the greatness of Ireland. This is the greatness of India. In fact, the Irish India connection dates back probably to prehistory. If one were to read the Celtic scriptures, beginning from, say, the story of Aithre, as Dr. Karan Singh mentioned, Aithre is the god of the blue shining sky. And you juxtapose Aithre to the writings of Aithreya Brahmana of the Rigveda, where Aithre is again spoken as the light that emits from the sky. You will see the theosophical connections. In fact, very little wonder that a very young Irish trade union leader who came to India became the bridge between this theosophical outlook of Ireland and the theosophical outlook of India. Dr. Annie Besant, she later on established what we call the Theosophical Society of India. And this Theosophical Society of India was actually the basis which produced huge number of leaders, even in India, and influenced the thought process of many leaders in India, including, of course, Yogi Shri Aurobindo, whom Dr. Karan Singh mentioned. In fact, I would recommend all of us to read again and again the monumental book by Dr. Karan Singh on Yogi Shri Aurobindo, which is titled The Prophet of Indian Nationalism. The Prophet of Indian Nationalism is what Dr. Karan Singh calls Yogi Aurobindo. So this is the kind of connection that Ireland and India have got, right from prehistory to 2020, where we are both connecting one another through culture and commerce. That is because both of us, both Ireland and India, look at the world as a family. We in India say Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The whole entire family, entire world is one family. And this is the basis which Ireland taught India during the freedom struggle. Whatever may be the provocation, there can be no alternative to peaceful but strong protest. This is the greatness of Mahatma Gandhi. Peaceful but strong protest. We were facing the same colonial power for more than 200 years. But today, we are not only free countries, but more vibrant than all those powers which sought to subjugate us. This is the greatness. Now, of course, I am seeing Ireland as emerging economy. Ireland is one of the leading economies among the European Union countries. And India is also an emerging economy and the third largest economy in the world. And the whole of Asia and all the Indo-Pacific countries look to India for their leadership. Similarly, all the countries of Europe are looking towards Ireland for leadership. And I'm sure the road to peace, progress, and prosperity in Europe and in Asia will be able to use the Delhi-Dublin Bridge, what I call the Delhi-Dublin Bridge. Bridge between Delhi and Dublin is what is going to be next phase of economic, social, and cultural rejuvenation. I am extremely glad that Mr. Prashant Shukla and Ireland India Council have taken a lead in bringing all of us together. Of course, the pandemic has prevented us from seeing and greeting each other and feeling the pulse of each other. When you shake hands, you feel the pulse of one another. That is what they say. So we have not been able to feel, but we are able to feel the pulse of one another through this virtual meeting. And this is what technology has given us. And once again, we will meet, as they say, next year. We will always be able to meet more often and overcome all the problems that we are facing on the basic strength of the philosophical strength of Ireland and the philosophical strength of India, of which people like Dr. Karan Singh are the leaders. And I'm once again thanking Prashant Shukla and his team in Ireland India Council for making all these things possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Chari. You correctly said that bridge between New Delhi and Dublin, that is more important. This bridge is not for relations between India and Ireland. The bridge between New Delhi, Dublin, and North America is something that's very important. With these words, I want to now invite Minister of State Sheen Fleming. Minister has some other important engagement, so he wants to finish it his talk first. Minister, you are very welcome. Thank you for coming here, although you faced actually some difficulties in connecting us. Now, floor is yours, Minister Sheen Fleming.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. I've
Yes.
just lost my connection to the video connection, but I think I can still hear you. So I will speak in any event, and I am trying to get the link back up, but you can hear me, which is good. Back again. I see you all again. I'm very happy. I was speaking into a dark screen for 10 seconds there. This is much better. First of all, thank you for the kind invitation. Prashant and Damien Nee for the organizing committee for this event, and Mr. Ambassador, and I'm very pleased to join the event. And especially in these difficult times with COVID-19, it was really a challenge, and it's an extra challenge from where I am down in the Midlands. We're one of the 3 counties with extra travel restrictions, so that's why I cannot travel today I would like to have done in the normal course of events. I just make a few brief comments first, and I want to reply to the last set of questions specifically, because we all know about the deep history and the friendship going back over hundreds of years, and the deep roots and similarities in our people. And I think that is well known, but has been a little bit in history, and that has been well flagged as well. I do want to say that we know there is quite a bit of trade between, actual trade and services of about 5 billion between our 2 countries. Some of it is in physical trade, and more of it is in the delivery of services. And I don't know how many times I pick up the phone here to phone a company in Ireland with a fault or a customer complaint, and I'm speaking to somebody in India. It happens many times. So there are a lot of connections from that point of view, from a practical point of view. One of the best way of having the connections developed is through the people. We have a lot of Indian citizens living here in Ireland, but I'm informed there's up to 35,000 people from India here, with India connections with India at any one time, which is a very, very high number, and would be the biggest group from any of the countries in Asia. We all know and the businesses that from India based here in Ireland, and Irish businesses based in India, and that is something I do want to come back to. Really, I suppose, there is a long connection, and why, even though we had a good shared history and understanding of each other, and we had lots of similar issues, many years ago, why over all the years was it our relationship not developed more? And as I'm listening to the question, I'm trying to give not an apology, but an explanation for how I see it. We are a very, very small country. After we got our own independence, we were heavily dependent for trade with our nearest partner, the United Kingdom. Most of our exports went there, most of our imports came from there. And even though we had political independence, by and large, as we know, for most of the island of Ireland, but not the full island of Ireland, we were very heavily dependent on our trade links with the UK. So that's why back many years ago, Ireland set out about applying for membership of the European Union. And that has really been the main focus of Ireland over the decades. And we now trade with more of our trade is with the other EU countries than with just the UK. Whereas not dependent on the UK, even though it's our single biggest trading partner, it is not as dominant in our trade as it used to be, and we do a lot of trade with other EU countries. And over several decades, the challenge facing Ireland, and Sean Lemass was one of our prime ministers back in the early 60s, when we say I was a little boy in short pants those days, and his mission was for foreign direct investment in Ireland and more trading with the EU, because they were our nearest partners. Obviously, the foreign direct investment in Ireland focused heavily as well on the United States, and there would be very big foreign investors here, foreign direct investment. One of the reasons being the language, which I will come back to in a moment. The language is very important. People from the United States feel comfortable coming to Ireland. They know there's a lot of Irish people in America, and they settle here very easily. After all of that, I think it's only after all of that, we can now focus more outside of direct links with the United States and with Britain and the United Kingdom. And I actually really think Brexit is an opportunity. I'm one of those people who believes the glass is always half full. Most of the commentary in Ireland is Brexit is a challenge, it's going to be a major issue, it's going to cause lots of difficulties. And yes, that is the case to some extent. But I always say in every challenge there's an opportunity. And I actually think, personally, I believe that our links with India can be developed further, especially now that Ireland is the only English-speaking country in the EU. This has to be a big advantage for trade, communication, and tourism. A lot of Irish people, when we're free to travel again, would look forward to, in due course, being able to travel to your lovely country. And I know many people who've been there in the past. I haven't personally been there, but we hear magnificent reports about your country, and people who come back from India, whether it's spent 2, 3 weeks or 4 weeks out there, really love the country. And I think we need to develop that. But I would actually say Brexit is an opportunity for an English-speaking country like Ireland to increase our trade and our friendship and people connections between our two countries. So I actually think we do have an opportunity here. I think the Irish government will want to pursue that. And maybe when we're sitting shoulder to shoulder on the security Council in the United Nations in the next couple of years. And we've both done very well, and we're now on that since last June. It's our second time, I recall, in my lifetime, my memory, for us to be on that very important forum. And I think that in itself is an opportunity. While the UN has a particular mandate, I think our good friendship and relationships can be developed. That's another forum. Plus, we all know Ireland, or the former Prime Minister Taoiseach and the current Deputy Prime Minister in Ireland, the Taoiseach Leo Varadkar, has very strong links with India, which has to be a good plus for both India and for Ireland in terms of trade business into the future. I will also say, I'm very pleased that the ambassador was in Laois back just a very short period ago. We're in the Midlands, outside of the biggest capital city, outside our capital city. We're very, very close. And I would say, as a Minister of State in the Midland region, we currently have extra travel restrictions just for these few days. And when we get back to normal next year, I would like to see an offer Laois in the Midlands as an area for investment, specifically for businesses from your country. I think we're perfectly located. I'll just say this to you. Laois is probably one of those regions in the country where I am sitting now. I'm 1 hour and 15 minutes from Shannon International Airport. I'm 1 hour and 20 minutes from Dublin International Airport, and I'm less than 2 hours from Cork International Airport. I don't think there's a location anywhere in Europe that has 3 international airports within little over an hour's drive from where we're located here in the Midlands. So I would encourage that, rather than always being in the hustle of the major cities. And the quality of life is much better here. So I would encourage and take this opportunity to promote this region. I'm hoping I'm answering the question, and I think Brexit is going to be a positive help. There'll be downsides to Brexit, but there has to be upsides to Brexit. And I think a relationship with a country like India can now be used as a bonus for us in terms of being an English-speaking country in the EU, 600 million market. And I think it can work both ways. That's what I would like to say. I don't know the format, whether I come in again, but I want to thank the organisers for continuing with this event here today. It's so easy just to postpone for 12 months. Technology is great, and I'm sure some of the technology behind what we're doing today, some of it probably came from India. And I suspect that is the case, because there's a lot of IT connections between Ireland and India. So thank you. I hope I'm answering the questions the best I can. I want to say to people, the people viewing who are watching, enjoy the rest of the day, and it is great. And we look forward to meeting in person, hopefully next year when these restrictions are all gone, and we can have rather than rubbing elbows, we can actually shake the hand that you actually mentioned and feel the pulse.
Namaste is the best way to do it. You don't have to touch it all.
Thank you, Minister. And the forum and platform is available if you want to continue to hear. And I'm going to the camcorder. Speaker of Irish Parliament mentioned a very beautiful message, and we can't take it in person today. And I think where he is on holiday, he has a poor internet connectivity. So I'm going to play his message, and then number of few things, and we got a beautiful Indian dancer here. So if you have time, please enjoy all that. But thank you so much. And can I ask Damien if you please say a few words to our Irish guests and Indian guests. Damien is co-chair for India Day Committee, and he contributed hugely for the success of this year's India Day, because I was never thought of, when we have around 10,000 people, how to be in this situation and have the event and reach out to our community. sustainability. But this is an idea, and we tried it. It is not perfect. So, and the technology and everything is evolving. So maybe this is a unique opportunity for the connectivity and the companies. They can look into it, and in future maybe we have perfect technology. There's no glitches or no problem. Thank you, everyone, and you are very welcome to continue and enjoy this beautiful session here. Thank you.
Hello, everybody.
Yes.
I have a great love of India that has developed over many years. And I believe Ireland was prosperous through facilitating America and Europe in the 60s and 70s. And I believe that Ireland and India together can make huge advances in the next 20, 30 years. Europe is the world's greatest collection of consumers. India is the potential purveyor of everything that we need in Europe. And it's a great democracy. As Dr. Karan Singh said, that if you put together the population of Europe and the States and double it, you've got India. And you have the most wonderful individuals, incredible education system. And with the sort of Irish astuteness, and we've so many traits, and they're exemplified in Sean Fleming here. And every now and again, you know, what makes a difference in the world is leadership. And it's those little fulcrums and turning points. And in many ways, COVID-19 gives us a chance to create that footprint in Europe for India that will allow us all thrive and prosper in the future. And the medical advances that are made in India, and especially the potential for small, rapid and cheap tests, can, without question, contribute to our coming through this COVID phenomenon. And, you know, instead of, we must be grateful, because all of the people in this conference here have lived in the best times the world has ever known. And we really need to appreciate the longevity, the good health that we've had, and we will get over this blip. And we use the time, if we have another lockdown, to develop personal relationships. And in the afternoon, we have a group with a view to establishing links between small and medium businesses. State agencies do wonders for the large multinationals, but the real backbone of a nation are the small businesses employing 1 to 50, 200 people. And if we can establish links that will allow small Irish businesses have the benefit of an infrastructure and maybe a labour force available to e-tender for projects all over Europe, and it will allow Indian companies to get involved in European projects without the incredible high overcosts that there would be otherwise. So thanks everybody, and happy, you know, it's your St. Patrick's Day, and Sean, by the way, has a great voice, and he might sing a song for us later. And,
not a chance.
Thank you very much, everybody, and hopefully this time next year, you'll have 20,000 on the lawn here, and we'll be celebrating the success of our business matchmaking program, and we'll be looking back with delight at how we have handled the COVID issue, and that everybody wear masks. If everybody wore an effective mask, we would all get through this. So thank you very much. And let us not, Prashant and Aparna and their two wonderful boys have done incredible work in putting this together. And Amanda Wilkinson has put together the wonderful program, and the administration, and has cajoled and beaten everybody into doing what they should do. So thank you all very much. And Jerry Hanley is going to play music in a few minutes. And let me tell you, Bruce Springsteen is awful lucky that Jerry didn't get, you know, distracted from his studies years ago, or the boss would not be. Okay, and the wisdom of Willie Collins and Noel Gavigan, who sees great future in the biogas and cooperation with India, and Duncan Stewart, who, without question, Ireland's leading environmentalist, who I think can also make a permanent imprint on global environmental issues. And thank you all very much.
Thank you, Damien. And now I will invite for the two cultural presentations, and I'm postponing little three beautiful messages, and maybe we could have in person as well. So I'm trying to sort out this in between. Please enjoy Irish and Indian cultural presentation.